my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and white scarf.
Why can't we just have the nice things in life? Just wanted to win. Just a simple one. No, not a chance. Case of emergencies. Break out Pingu from America quickly. Cue Pingu.
Well, Chris, I just said offline before we come on, I feel like we only come on during the crisis mode, and it feels that after tonight, anticlimactic is probably the nicest word that I'll use right now before we get into it.
It was all set up, Pingu. Like, we had the shock result yesterday of Cove losing down at Wexford, and I was thinking maybe that point we got down in Wexford, the 0-0 draw, we weren't great, but maybe that was something in it, that we actually got something in that game. And then we turn up with that performance tonight. It's just so disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if the players felt a little bit like we all did last night after the Cove score came in, but before I come on, I was thinking about it. I actually thought we started okay tonight, and then I think we fell flat after they obviously got the first goal, but I still felt like we had enough about us, got it back to 1-1, and then after 1-1 it just fell apart. Like it was actually quite amazing. It was amazing to see it, because Longford, they're the ninth place team, or they were before the start of the match tonight, the 9th place team in the division, and we're top of the division, and by 60 minutes in, you're trying to guess which team is in which position. What I mean? Like it was one of those where, it was flat. It was just very, very flat. And obviously we've got some injuries and things like that, but there still should be enough quality there to put Longford away. With respect to them, they were very good tonight, but it was just very, very disappointing across the board. I was in a group chat, and we probably won't do man of the match after that result, but
I don't think so.
For me, with the exception of Owen Kenny and maybe Harry Groom in the first half, I don't think any player covered themselves in any glory tonight. What I mean? It just felt like an extremely flat performance. As I say, across the board, and it's just it's disappointing, because again there seemed to be an air of optimism before the match, and there was an expectation of party mode, but last night when I saw some tweets that kind of had us marked as champions elect, I thought to myself, I was like, don't fucking count your chickens before they're hatched, And
Gally must have said something somewhere.
Gally definitely did,
because he jinxed us last time.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
Done it again.
He had his wheel spun at that point, but I don't know. I haven't, because with a lot of games on Fridays in my work schedule, I've been able to watch matches, but I haven't been able to fully watch 90 minutes. And I sat down tonight, excited myself, and it was just, it was your typical first division match. It was poor football, you know what I mean? And as I say, Longford were definitely hands down, they were the better team, fully deserving of their win. But to say that Longford were the best team in a match, do you know what I mean? It doesn't bode well for the quality of football that was on show, respectfully. But it was just poor. It's just very deflating. Hopefully, obviously you don't want to get too deflated because we're still in prime position, but tonight's performance was it was a shocker.
Last week at the Bray match, I thought we didn't miss Daryl Horgan that much, and it was a credit to the lads there. But tonight, not having Horgan and not having Air Dervin, it felt like a massive gulf was missing. He seemed to kind of swap things around a little. Obviously, we lost Conor O'Keefe at the back, and I think when he jumped into the back line last week, he made a massive difference as well. But Dean Ebbe, we just have not been able to find the best formula to get him working with us. I think having him and Ruby up front, it's just a partnership that does not seem to work, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's they almost get in each other's way, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those where
I think they want to occupy the same area.
No, they don't. But if it makes sense, like, it feels like in terms of how they play, they don't know who wants the ball, who's coming for it, who's staying. You know what I mean? And it just seems very, off kilter. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned it there. There's 3, key players that were missing tonight. So that is 100% a factor. You have those 3 in, you'd hope it's a different result tonight. But yeah, it's a strange one. It's a strange one because, as I said, I don't even know really what to say. I promise you I'll come on, Chris, and I'm kind of lost for words now. But
but even if you look at the bench situation, like we were 2 substitutes short on the bench to even fulfill the full allocation on the bench. Like I think that's saying we're probably a little bit tight right now between suspensions and injuries as well. To go through the game, then, like I say, we probably did start okay. We started allowing Longford then back into the match, and then the first and foremost, I think the concession of the free kick for the first goal, Kieran was clearly irate about that as it was, and then to concede then straight after, it looked like the free kick was slightly short, gets jammed in between a number of feet, and then Alex O'Brien just kind of digs it out and it gets in between a lot of players and just side-stabs the shot. And there's probably enough bodies in the way that Peter Cherry can't see it, but either way, it looked like a defendable goal.
Yeah, it's one of the most first division goals you'll see scored. Is probably the best way to describe it. Is it's almost like a comedy of errors, isn't it? Like it's
100%.
I think
it's like, don't give away the foul, clear the ball, don't allow them to shoot, and we allow all 3.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of them where sometimes it looks like there's almost a little bit too much time to make a decision, and players can't. They're not acting on instinct. Like they know what they want to do. They're thinking about it before they actually do it. And yeah, that kind of, as I said, a goal set the tone. I didn't feel like that point we were in much trouble though. Do you know what I mean? Like as I said, I felt like it was more after we scored that I felt like we sat back or we dropped off a little bit. I still thought that we were in the front foot at that point, but yeah, it was definitely the most first division goal that I've seen in a while.
I suppose the only benefit of that is that we get ourselves back in 4 minutes later. Owen Kenny on form again. It's 6-6 for him now. He's had a real purple patch, in particular after, I suppose, those questions being asked, and he looked quite frustrated right before this run. But even that goal tonight, it's another instinctive goal, a bit like his goal last week against Bray. He just when in form, Owen, when he's given these opportunities, just seems to be able to take them without thinking or something. Like, maybe that's part of his game, that the less time he has to think about it, the better it is nearly for him.
No, I think so. I think earlier in the season, one of the other episodes I was on, I think it was Kerry away, and he missed a couple of open chances, and again it was one of those where he had 5-6 seconds before he took the shot off. And I'll give a shout out to our teammate Stephen McKevitt, who's been a big fan of Owens and has sung his praises when a lot of supporters, and even maybe some of us, have written him off this season. But this what Steph sees in him is that ability, and he showed that when he was in loan at Wexford a couple of seasons ago as well. He hit a little run of form there, so it's great to see that. And as I said, I thought overall probably if I was to pick a Dundalk man in the match tonight, it probably would have been Owen. I felt like he was kind of ever present. At one stage he was out on the left, even though he was playing on the right, and he wanted to get the game going and wanted to get the ball moving. So it's great for him. And obviously with 4 games to go, if we do get a couple of those bodies back by next week, going into those last 4 games, then that only again bodes well for him, as we get good towards the run in.
Yeah, I think Keith Wallace isn't too happy that we've broken out Pingu. There must be some sort of a disaster on, I think he said there, on Instagram. Going in 1-1 at half time, like I say, we were good in places, and probably still allowed Longford to have enough opportunities. But going in at 1-1 at half time, you were thinking that'd be the wake up call. We've seen that enough times, and start of second half, there's a number of substitutes is normally what we see back, but that turned out not to be the way, and ended up being more of the same, which probably allowed Longford into the match at the start of second half. Yeah,
as I say, I felt like after the Kenny goal, I felt like we dropped off our tempo in the game, and I felt like as we were getting closer to half time, they were starting to get ahead. And yeah, I would have thought. I thought at that point myself that that was going to be the opportunity. Like, get them into the dressing room. It was a good time. Like, I felt like we were starting to weather a bit of a storm. get them in, regroup. But yeah, the second half, it's like I'd say there's probably 5 or 6 of the boys, mentally, I think stayed in the dressing room. I don't think they came back out. I think some of the boys that came off the bench the same. Like I think the heads weren't right. Performances showed that, but yeah, it was just very, very fucking frustrated, Chris.
Yeah, I think we were looking to kind of kick on to another gear. I think whatever gear we were in was quite comfortable for Longford. And like you say, you're probably looking whether that was substitutes or it's the halftime team talk, which we've seen so many times from Kieran, that's kind of spun them into life. But like I say, it didn't happen. We kind of flatlined at whatever level of performance we were at, and that only seemed to grow in confidence for Longford. 6 minutes into the second half, they go and take the lead. Then it's a fine finish from Aaron Doran. For me, definitely a shout for handball on that for his control, mind you.
I mean, I think it was 100% a handball. Like,
I think the commentator missed that one.
Yeah, they very intentionally missed that one, we'll say. But
and it's to his benefit. Normally you'd see any sort of a knock on like that benefits a player from a handball. The ref blows it up straight away, but whether it's the wrong side of him or just doesn't see it, I'm not too sure. But he's running towards the linesman that side, which is the bit I couldn't understand.
Yeah, the only thing I'll need to look at it back, and I'm trying to just picture it now. Haven't seen it earlier, but I think there might have been a number of bodies between the linesman and him, because I think he was at the edge of the box, and maybe that's more why the lino didn't see it. But yeah, I mean, when we talk about it, and you hear it so much nowadays about the unnatural position of the arm, it couldn't have been any more.
This isn't one, though.
I mean, I think it hit him as he was stretching out to take the shot. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Look, you can't really complain too much. It was well deserved for them at that point. Like they were on top at that stage, and it was a great finish. Like it's a pity that the ref didn't catch the blatant handball and play it out. Maybe we'd be celebrating a scrappy draw tonight.
Yeah, it's a sliding door moment. Speaking of sliding door moments, the ref really gave us one here, with Murtagh's red card. He's late. He doesn't get the ball. He's behind the player by everything but letter of the law in the current game. You'd say you can see why this is a red. Did you feel it was harsh or justified?
No, I think it's straight red. I can see why. If you're on the opposite side, and we heard it in the commentary where they were trying to justify the tackle, and the co-commentator was definitely dubious in his commentary tonight. But no, for me, I don't even think he tried to win the ball. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's late, and the ball is well ahead, isn't it? Like he's never winning that.
No, he was trying to clip the player. You know what I mean? He was trying to get him to run down the clock, and I think he just, again, you get away with them sometimes, and you get that yellow. But now, for me, by the letter of the law, that's a red. So I thought straight away, like that's a bad tackle, and it was near enough right after the goal as well. It was probably within 5-10 minutes of the goal, and
about 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of a surge in tempo again at that stage, and I think he was just trying to slow that tempo down, and he paid the price, but we couldn't capitalize on it because they scored a couple of minutes after that.
Well, that's it. Like it's 4 minutes later. Dean George goes and knocks that big long ball over. It's a nothing ball. It's a hit and hope for him to kind of run in between. But I think Mayo completely loses the run of where Dean George had gone, and like even when I look back on it, I thought, was he offside? But I actually think he timed that run very, very well. And it's just one of them where we've completely switched off, and he runs through, lobs it over, and finishes it. It's a game, when you're 2-1 down, but you're a man up, you got to start taking control of the game, and it was just handed an absolute lifeline to them. Yeah,
it is, and it's one of them, and it happened a few times earlier in the match, and you would have thought that it would have, it would have been dealt with. I think in the first half there was a couple of times where there was miscommunication between Mayo and Peter Cherry as well, and obviously he got the ball a ways out from goal, but I think it's always been a kind of pain point with Peter Cherry is he sticks very close to his line, doesn't like to come off his line. So by the time he's got by Mayo, he's taken a heavy enough touch. Cherry decides to run out to the edge of the box, and he's able to get there and think it over. So
That's the ghost.
That's the ghost, yeah. But yeah, so it was. I would just say it's again, Mayo definitely should have done better, but for me it was. I feel like Cherry probably could have been off his line a little bit quicker too on that one, and maybe if he's on the edge of the box, there's a chance he wins it when he knocks it on at that stage, But again, you could blame anybody for you could blame everyone on the pitch for certain aspects of how tonight went.
Yeah, and then I suppose you're on to even though you're joined there by an avid listener to the pod. I suppose then we've rolled the dice. There's 18 minutes to go. It's just so disappointed that the second goal comes so late back in the match then. Yeah,
and that was a scramble too, and I don't even think we deserved it, to be honest with you. It's one of them that you're kind of hitting and hoping, and it comes late, and even the afters of that too, Chris, where there's some of the foul throws. I think Peter Cherry, like they said, you couldn't see it on the camera, but they were talking about Cherry, foul throwing it again. You couldn't see it, but then there was also a couple of minutes later, then Nathan Garbutt with 30 seconds to go goes to throw the ball.
That's the killer.
These are little things that, again, you would hope that your team doesn't do it too much. I'm gonna have to mute it just for a second. Sorry, Chris.
You're right. The old fatherly duties always jump in, but no, you're right. Bingo. It's the thing is you're given these opportunities. We're trying to pile the pressure on, and it's those little fine margins. We get that equalizer. If Garbutt doesn't fell through that and we get back in, do you launch a long ball into the box there? Because both of our goals came via corners and stuff like that. So you're thinking here's an avenue. They're not comfortable under a high ball, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a calm head there. You're talking the last 20 seconds of a match to get back into it, and just to give possession away so easily, it really is criminal at this level.
Yeah, it is, and that's what suggests to me is the players were a little bit shell shocked by this. I don't think they were expecting probably the Longford Town that played tonight, but also just their own performance. I think they maybe again took it for granted, and by the time the panic was on, to your point, there was no calm heads, I don't think, on the pitch. Keith Ward came off the bench, and I know Wardy listens to the podcast. Wardy didn't have his best performance tonight, even when he came off the bench, and you need people, especially experienced players like that, to calm things down. But he was on the pitch and he's shouting and screaming at everybody, especially these young lads. Again, you want someone that's going to lift you up, and I felt like tonight, it just his kind of interactions with the young lads summed up the performance of overall. But there was just no calm heads at that point, and again, even with the goal, it was scrappy. I don't think anybody, I think it was just hitting hope at that stage, and it could have worked out. But that the foul throw, it might not have came from it, that kind of way. But it was poor.
I think you're being beckoned. I think you'll be beckoned very soon. Look, we'll wrap this up fairly quick. I think you could probably sum up the last 10, 15 minutes, whatever, on the added time. It was all looking very, very desperate at that stage. You were looking for a calm head. You were looking for a Darrell Horgan to find that perfect pass to get in, but it just seemed like we get the ball and each one. You actually seen Vinny Leonard ping the ball to one of the lads, and there was so much venom on the pass, and he was only a couple of yards away. It was kind of everything was just in panic mode, it seemed, with us, and we were looking for calm heads, and we just didn't have enough on the pitch tonight. And I think that's really, we should have been able to see it from that red card on 68 minutes right the way through to the end of that match. We were looking for a calm head to navigate us right the way through. And to be fair, I think you mentioned it before, getting someone in before, like Conor O'Keefe at the back, who's been there, played through these games, Darrell Horgan. It was those sort of players, even, A. Dervin that we've seen this year in particular. You needed those players on tonight to just calm it down and find the right way, but to protect the ball and protect it. We were only 2-1 down at the time, rather than to go to 3-1 and then it's complete panic stations. That's what we missed. That guidance tonight was probably the biggest factor.
Yeah, 100%. And it's probably what we were afraid of at the start of the season with such a young squad. I think you think back to like Finn Harps earlier in the season, like I think it was the second game, and you seen players, playing beyond their age. And I felt like today, once we went 2-1 down and then even 3-1 down, I felt like these lads were 17, 18 year olds again playing senior football. Like it was and I don't know who's at fault for that. I don't know if it's Kieran, I don't know who it is, I don't know if it's on the players. Like I'm sure it's on a little bit of blame on everybody, but it was just I felt like they were just playing, as young teenagers at that point, and it was just playing with panic and not playing with any semblance of a game plan.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's like, and that's it. We needed a calmness tonight, and it's probably one of those things that if you, if over the course of the season, that's probably what wins you titles as well, is that you're able to, navigate these sort of games a lot better, and that we're not panicking around, that we're able to see this out. And that's what really done us tonight, was probably the fact that we couldn't find a way to get back into this at all times, that we need a level head to get onto the ball and really guide us through that last 20 minutes. And like you say, Pingo, it was probably that inexperience then that we're seeing on the pitch. A lot of young heads in there, a lot of lads getting for senior football and stuff like that. It's all tied in. And I would say that's probably a situation, being 3-1 down, yet a man up, but still not playing the best football. It all kind of came together in the worst possible way for Dundalk. In saying that, we're still top of the league. We're still 6 points clear, and we're now down to 4 games. I still would have picked this opportunity if it was given to us at the start of the season. And that's probably what, has to sharpen minds now ahead of the UCD game next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's a bad night at the office, terrible night at the office, but we still, it's still in our hands how the rest of the season pans out. Before we come on, I was actually thinking, the one thing that I don't want it to get to a repeat of 2014, where we've Cork and Dundalk coming down to the wire, because if you remember then, we were home and hosed, I think, with 4 or 5 games to go, and then Cork actually leapfrogged us the week before the last game. So you would hope we'll wrap it up before then. But also, if we don't, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, but if we don't, you want to get a couple of good results before the end of the season, because you don't want to go into playoffs, on a poor run. I'm not saying that's the case. Like tonight's just obviously a bad night, but I think, look, it's still in our court. UCD's obviously, you would hope it's a very winnable game.
Back in Oriel as well. It's probably what you're looking for now, a bit of home comfort.
Yeah, and I think we'll have Dervin back, right? And we'll have
but we lose Mayo now because he's going to be suspended for another yellow card. Well, hopefully Conor O'Keefe can come back. Yeah,
so you probably hope, maybe O'Keefe will drop into the centre back role, or Harry Groom has played there throughout the season at times as well, so maybe he'll go into that slot, into that role, and Dervin back into the midfield. But look, we get a win next week, and we're all delighted again. We're only 1 win away, winning the league, and that's, again, I think Culver doing everything they can to hand us the title as well. So hopefully they keep doing it too. So I don't know, who do they play next week? Actually, I don't.
I knew you'd say that to me now, and I'm not ready for that one. Just while I'm finding out, Bingo, conversation last week just went to, obviously this week was a very important week. A year ago, that the club was right on the brink, and to bounce back, just to focus the mind on that result tonight. When we think where we were as a club, a year ago, to have that potential to still have a club and get ourselves back into the first division, it's amazing to think, isn't it? Like, because this was as far from our reality this time last year.
Yeah, it's wild. Wild is probably the best way to describe it, but we were hoping just to get through to the end of last season without even thinking about where we are this season. And again, with the, even when you think back to the close season and you saw who at Lone Town signed, you saw that the signings that Cove were making, no one expected, and I don't even think the Dundalk fans expected at the start of the season for us to be where we are now. So, we're operating definitely outside of our means. But yeah, isn't it great to still have a podcast going?
Don't know about that some nights.
Isn't it great to be able to fucking be annoyed again on Friday nights or a Saturday night for this one. But isn't it great to still have that? Like, that was the fear, is the club is the lifeblood of the town, and beyond the town for Chicago, the club means these results make or break your weekend still, and it's just great to still have that now. And the club is by no means perfect still. We're still in a very precarious position, and it's a conversation for another day. If we do get promoted, is like, what kind of shape are we going to be in as a Premier Division side? Because just even taking the football side of it before we talk about that and off the field, like the standard between both divisions is, it's almost like jumping from League Two to the Premier League in terms of just that quality between two. And you look, Cork, I'd say Cork would have walked the first division this year with the squad that they have, and they just got back. Was it 3-0 last night? Or
they drew 1-1 with Shamrock Rovers 94.
Oh, sorry, they did. Sorry, that was the women's game. It was the women's game. They lost 5-0 to Galway today.
Yes,
that's what I was looking at. That tells you where my head.
I think they drew 2-2 with Bows, but continue.
But like Cork have struggled this season, like massively struggled, and you just hope that what I would rather is we win in the next couple of weeks, so Kieran can have the opportunity to start building a squad for next year and figure out who he wants to keep. But you're looking at on the field again. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but you're looking at least. I would say a 7 or 8 probably starting.
I think that's fair.
The squad, and one of them, could be either a first or second choice goalkeeper as well, adding into the mix, there too. But isn't it great to be talking like that again? Isn't it great?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
We didn't think that
we're talking about the future of a club that we didn't know might even exist. I actually done your disservice there. I actually started thinking of the Shamrock Rovers. They drew 2-2 with Bows, but you're right. Cork did get beaten 5-0 by Galway in the women's league. And for further reference, Cove are at home to Finn Harps. So we're both playing on Friday night again. I actually thought us playing later would either be, we would either get that pressure of the gap being down to 3 points, and will we live to that or not? It turns out the pressure was slightly off us tonight, in the sense that I felt that we knew there was a cushion of the 6 points no matter what. Yeah, we could have brought it to 9. Maybe it's better, everything at the same time. You just don't know what the other result is going to be.
Yeah. 100%. It makes for an exciting Oriel Park next week as well, because I'm sure there'll be people in the shed and in the stands that'll be listening into the results elsewhere too. And if we're under a bit of pressure, it might give a little bit of a lift to hear the cover a goal down, and it just makes it for an interesting last 4 games, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always thought you in America were well up in your technology, but you're clearly listening to a wireless still there for the results. You can check them on your phone these days.
I still listen to Dundalk FM every Friday.
Good man.
DJ Jason Kelly every Friday.
There you go. Yeah, look, as I said, Pingu, look, we said we won't do ourselves a disservice and not jump on, even if the results don't go our way sometimes. Yeah. So we still honor this podcast 5 years later. Somehow we're still doing this. Cheers for jumping on. I think you have some daddy duties awaiting you there for the rest of the afternoon for yourself. So cheers for jumping on. Thanks everyone for tuning in. For Keith Wallace giving you some abuse there on Instagram is always appreciated, as always. And like you say, I think it's back to hopefully some sort of home comforts next week on Friday for us. It's definitely, this result is one to focus minds for Kieran and Ken going into that. But literally they know, with time ticking on and games running out, it's now or never for this Dundalk team. So until next week, come on to town.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white